Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and germs and ladies, allow me to introduce myself and reintroduce myself. My name is Chef Nick. I am the chef of right now. Please punch, please stomp, please kill the like button. Please let's get some safe violence on this channel. Let's spread the word. If you don't like violence, then let's pull a Jeffrey Dahmer and let's eat and devour this like button. How you guys feeling out there tonight? We have a special guest tonight. I personally bought this channel for one night only, and I'm going to sell all my profits back to Joe after it's done. So this is a one-shot deal. This is a one-night stand. I'm glad to be part of it. So let me tell you something. If anyone ever calls you fat, please don't worry. We are the good kind of fat. We are all avocados. My past girlfriend, she was a hamburger. Her name was Patty. I always get nervous opening up the refrigerator door because I don't want to see the salad dressing and undressing. A cow with no hooves only produces lactose milk. I ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon, and I'll let you know what comes later on. But let me tell you something about who's not a chicken or an egg. His name is Joe MINGOIA. That's right. His name is Joe MINGOIA. He is the jefe. He is the godfather. He is the best. He is the rock and roll star. And let me tell you something. If he was ever addicted to brake fluid, it's okay. He can stop at any time. If Joe was an oyster, he would always share his pearl because he is not shellfish. If Joe was a scarecrow, he would be outstanding in his field. Joe does a great baked ziti. It's so great, even the clock on his wall went back 4 seconds. He has a good heart, but not a big heart, because that sounds deadly and dangerous. He is the famous Amos of all cookies. He is the potato chip of all snacks. Joe's Native American name is Dances with Yankees. When in doubt, he may have the gout, but drink a Guinness stout to remove and get all the clout, baby. He is the Ayatollah, Joe MINGOIA. Let me bring him up, my friends.
Hello, what an introduction. My God, thank you. How is everyone? Thank you. That was great, Nick. Thanks so much.
These are my see-through interview glasses.
Yeah, I like it. Very smartish.
No lens, just me.
All right. Well,
all right.
How you doing, everyone? Thanks for being here, and I hope you would like it. And thank you. I got a compliment for the haircut. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it looks nice. Very spiffy.
Thank you. Thank you. See, I did it all for the interview. So
that's nice. I love it.
Well, I'm ready to go, Chef. Whatever you want to throw at me, go right ahead.
Well, I just want to thank Joe for having the time to come on. I want to thank the chat as well. You guys have any questions, please ask away. So pretty much what I'm going to do is ask the first question is, who the hell do you think you are? But anyway, so Joe, I want to just start by talking about, let's just say, the first inkling, the first tingle that you had to go towards your career, to start a liking in the business. Start from there. Like, how did that happen? What did you feel? What thoughts and decisions came with going about that?
Well, I was about, I would say 11 years old, give or take. And my grandmother always loved wrestling. Now, wrestling was on at crazy times years ago. And, it would be on like 11, 12 o'clock sometimes. And I'm going to, 7th, 8th grade and all of that. And bottom line was, I happened to run into this radio show. I put the radio on FM, and I was just going to, and I heard a wrestling show, and it was called The Wide World of Wrestling, and it was at 1 o'clock in the morning. I maintained, my good grades and everything, but I couldn't go to sleep early, so I was, loving baseball and all that. And I started listening to the show, and I was calling up, and I was asking questions, and they were asking me, "Wow, you sound young, this and that," and they invited me after, I'd say, 8 weeks on a Monday night. Was the show? It was a great show. They used to go to Madison Square Garden, go to the live events, and have interviews like with Bruno Sammartino and all of that. And they asked me to, would I mind coming on and talking about wrestling, because it was like I knew what I was talking about. So I said, okay. I had to go to my dad because, I'm like 11 years old. And he was baking, he's a bakery baking. So he had to stop what he was doing. The bakers just kept going. And we packed up from Brooklyn and we went to 80 Riverside Drive in New York City.
Wow.
And this is at 12:30 at night. And the show was their show was at 1 a.m., a very successful wrestling show. Had a lot of people. And they interviewed me. And that day, the station manager was watching it, heard it. What he was doing up at 1 o'clock, I'll never know, but he was. And all of a sudden, the next day, I get a call. And he goes, "Hi, this is so-and-so. I heard you on the show." I said, would you like to come in? I'd like to talk to you because we like to add some sports aside from the wrestling show. I said, okay. I said, but honestly, I'm 11 years old, so of course I'm going to need some. I'm going to probably need my dad. But, oh, okay, no problem. And it went down there. And he said to me, he says, "Listen, we're very impressed with your knowledge. And do you know any other sports?" And I said, "Yeah, baseball is very dear to my heart." And he goes, "Okay." So one thing led to another, and I did a few spots on a couple of different shows. And then he came to me and he said, "Listen, would you be interested in having your own half hour?" And I said, "Wow," and it wasn't nervous. I just wasn't nervous. I was just like, well, how do I go about it? But to be honest with you, it was a block of time, and you had to give like a donation for it. So it was like $40 or $35, whatever it was. So I brought the idea home to my dad and my mom, and they said, okay, we'll do, So, and one thing led to another. And what I did was I started going around because they told me that anything that you bring in will be your money, would be for you and under parents' care. I said, okay. So I went around the neighborhood. I went to the pizzeria that I knew and all of that. And he says, sure, so I got a few sponsors for it. And and little by little, I started learning how to put together a commercial, for an 11-year-old at that time. I mean, all my friends are playing outside and I'm inside, thinking about how I'm going to put together a sponsorship.
That's awesome.
And that's what I did. And I started working there. I called the Yankees up. My first show, according to Billboard, I was like the youngest person ever in New York radio, especially the band of FM. To be on a 50,000. Well, actually, yeah, it was a 50,000 watt. It was 105.9. It was called WHBI, which is now a very, very big classical station. On the dial, and that's what happened. And I was an incredible Yankee fan, which still am. And that's how it all got started, really. Little by little, so I called the Yankees up, and I asked for a pass. So they said, "Well, do you have credentials, this and that?" And I said, "All right, I'll send it to you." I had no idea what he was talking about. So I went to a friend. I went to the people from WHBI, and they says, "No problem. We'll write it out. We'll do it. You sign it. We'll send it to the Yankees." And about a week later, I get a call and says, "Would you like to come and come in the media room for this particular game?" I went, "Oh wow, okay." But then I was a little hesitant because, like, how am I going to get there? We're talking about going to the Bronx, 11-year-old, back then on the train. How am I going to do that?
Safe neighborhood.
Yeah, of course, my dad had to stop what he was doing, and they gave us a couple of tickets. And my dad sat, in the stands, and here I am. I'm going through the press gate, and that's basically how it all started.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, like especially like 11 years old. Like when I was 11, I was still picking my nose and eating it. So eating the booger. So that's what I was
Yeah.
doing still.
Oh
No,
no.
that's awesome, man. That's great. Like just for 11 years old to get your creative juices going, just that's awesome. That's really good to hear. Especially, but how Yankee fan, Lakers fan, and Cowboys fan. So how did you? Because I'm curious. I never heard you say this. So how did you end up being a Lakers fan and Cowboys fan?
Well, the Cowboy fan was very simple.
Okay.
Every Thanksgiving, we would I was in a three-family home,
Yeah.
and my aunt and uncle and cousins lived upstairs. We were in the middle, and my grandparents were downstairs. And every Thanksgiving we were together. My uncle, rest in peace, he was a big Cowboy fan. I was never really into football that much, and he goes, "Nephew, come over here. I want you to get involved with football." I said, "Oh boy." And one thing led to another, and he says, "You see that team? That's the team you're going to root for. That is America's team." And at that time, they had Tom Landry as the coach. Those were that was the team at that point, and Roger Staubach, and they were a good team. Of course, I had to learn a little bit about them. I didn't know too much, but I liked the uniform. I just liked the setting, and that's how I became a Cowboy fan. The Lakers, basically, an ex-girlfriend of mine really liked them a lot, and I just said, I said I kind of like this. So, and just one thing led to another, and I was watching, Magic Johnson. I saw the tail end of like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Will Chamberlain just a little bit, but that's how that all started. And and then it started growing. The passion was getting stronger, and all of that. But the one thing that I did leave out so far is very, very important. My father wasn't the biggest sports fan, but he came from Italy, and it's all about work and family with him, growing the family.
Absolutely.
And I was a crazy Yankee fan growing up, and it was getting me sick. I'd be going to school. Now's going to be the time where the Yankees are starting to win, but they didn't win a championship yet. So every game I was taking very seriously, and I was getting sick to my stomach if they would lose a game. I didn't want to go. Now, of course, what we have now, we could put a little device in between our legs if we want and watch what's going on wherever we are. But back, and then in the late 70s, early 80s, there wasn't too much. So the bottom line was, I didn't want to go anywhere. It's Yankees, Yankees, Yankees. What are you talking about? I am not, how dare you get married at, in a time where the Yankees are, in the playoffs. So it was touch and go with the family. He just couldn't understand what this was all about. He's, it's on TV, mostly radio at the time, and one thing led to another, and it was, I had a little battle. I had battles with my, I wasn't with my brother. I couldn't understand, why, what is this? I mean, it's all Yankees. It's Yankees, Yankees, Yankees. What are you doing? So that led up to when I approached my dad about the idea of getting into the sports world. He thought about it, and and I guess talked to my mom, my brother, whoever he talked to, and said, "Well, maybe Joe will learn that they don't have to be that high on a pedestal, that they're normal people. Let him learn on his own." And now they never told me that until later on, obviously. And so I went about my business, and I was curious, like, everybody was like, I mean, I was like, wow, everybody's all for this. But in the meantime, who's upset at me. I didn't realize at the time, and now I'm like maybe getting to be 13 years old. I didn't realize at the time that they were doing this to not teach me a lesson, but to make me understand that they do the same thing. They may make a little bit more money than us, but they are the same as us. We eat together, you go to the restroom together, you marry together, you do all the same things. I held them to the highest esteem. Like it was the greatest thing. It was like, oh my God, I'm going to Yankee Stadium. It's the greatest thing. Leave me alone. And I used to get very, very bad stomach pains if the Yankees lost. And it was very, very difficult. I missed a lot of school. Thank God I was able to, catch up. And, and all the teachers, I have to say they adored me. And they were very, very gentle, very kind with me. And I took it serious when the Yankees lost the World Series in 4 games to the Cincinnati Reds. I was sick for 1 week. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to hear anything. And it was just at that time that I was starting to be like getting into, doing a little radio and stuff. And that's how it all started. And then from there, we just went, I started, I interviewed Willie Randolph. I interviewed, Reggie Jackson. And I saw, I'm going in the locker room and seeing, wow, these people are just like me. They're famous, but they're just like me. It's just, they're real. It's not a fantasy on TV. This is real stuff. So I needed to see that. And it still stood with me to be like this ridiculous thing of missing events, just being like not myself. And that's what I want to let everybody know, Nick, that it's great to be a fan.
Mm-hmm.
But trust me, everyone, you cannot get to the point where the doctors have to give you, you have to talk to the doctors. They have to give you medicine to relax your stomach. This is real true. And when I hear people, that's what gets me. It gets me, with tears in my eyes. When I hear people saying, "Oh my God, I'm going to jump off the bridge. I can't stand it. I'm never going to. I can't do this. I can't go out. I can't do." That's when I knew that if I said my story, that maybe, just maybe, if it helps one person, then I think I've done my job.
Absolutely. Absolute great. Everything that you're saying right now is like just digging up into history, and it's like just to have these baseball players right in front of you, like these legends right in front of you, and they're so humble. Like it's just like they're you and me. That's amazing. How about George Steinbrenner? Any stories with George Steinbrenner?
Yes. Well, I was now. This is a little bit. Now I'm a little bit older. This is like around the mid '80s, and I was at a game where for the first time I saw Mike Francesa, Chris Russo, Susan Waldman. Who was that? Michael Kay, Phil Pepe, just to name a few. Mm-hmm. And I was in the Yankee press in the press box, and every time the Yankees did everything, I didn't realize, I'm young, and and I'm doing this, and I'm in the press box. I'm supposed to be, at the time, maybe I'm 17 now, so I'm really excited. And to the left of us was the general manager's booth, and then Steinbrenner. And Steinbrenner sometimes, because they would tell me, they say, George is right next door. So I said, oh, okay, that's great. I'm very naive, not knowing that he was, he's who he is. But here's the fun part. So I'm rooting, and I believe it was Chris Chambliss hit a big home run, And I just got up and I went, yeah, like that. And George saw me from afar and he went like this.
Wow.
And the people, they were in there saying, oh my God, like, what do you have that we don't? Or something like that. So, and I was doing that for a few times. And one day I took went into the press room, went to the press gate, and I'm taking the elevator, and who comes in? George Steinbrenner.
Wow.
And he's in the elevator. I'm like, hi, Mr. Steinbrenner. He goes, call me George, boy. Call me George.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, George. He goes, you're a big Yankee fan, are you? I said, yes, I am. He says, well, I'm glad that you got credentials. I'm very happy about that. He says, if I can help you, you let me know. Now, this is something that people don't know about George Steinbrenner. And it breaks my heart that all the media will tell you is what, yes, did he do cuckoo things? Yes, he did. But he did things from his heart that he didn't want anybody to know.
Fake news. Yep.
Right. Exactly. And the news was relentless then. So what happened is, I said to him, I said, Mr. And again, I said, Mr. Steinbrenner, he said, that's George to you. and I said, okay, George. He says, what can I do for you? I said, do you think I can get an interview with you? And I thought he was just like ready to say, hey, I don't know, you got to talk to the press guy. And he goes, and he put his head down and he goes, call my secretary tomorrow morning. We'll figure it out. And that's what I did. So I couldn't wait. I mean, I was like, now I'm starting to be like, wow, is this really going to happen? And so the next day, actually, the secretary called me. And I said, this Joe Mingoia? I said, yeah. I said, oh, this is, I think it was Natalie. This is Natalie, George Steinbrenner's personal assistant, whatever. I understand that you'd like to put together an interview. I said, yeah. Okay, well, then let's do it. And she gave me the date and everything. I said, well, do I need anything? She goes, no, what you got to do is come and go to the office. And that's what I did. And I went in there. He treated me with so much respect. And I told him, I said, I asked him some questions and he answered each and every one of them. He was very passionate, loves the Yankees. He had a chance to buy the Cleveland Indians. That just barely fell through. And he was living in Cleveland. And he said, I came that close, but then when we couldn't buy them, said the Yankees, CBS was selling the Yankees. And he said, oh my God, that's the Mona Lisa of baseball.
Wow.
Let me look into that. And then he bought the Yankees for like $10 million with $100,000 down. And,
oh my God!
But $100,000 down cash, and he paid the rest in notes, and now they're worth $8 billion.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That definitely happened. Yes.
That's wow. I didn't even know that. Wait, so he was living out in Cleveland?
Yes, the family.
Wow.
They were from Cleveland.
I never knew that. I thought they were always like New Yorkers.
The shipbuilding, the father, everybody. And I got to tell you one thing that people, again, do not know about George Steinbrenner. He may be the hard-nosed and everything, but he took care of his family. And I'm not talking money-wise. Forget money-wise.
Yeah.
He was at every grandson's events. It could have been baseball, talking, on the stage, playing an instrument. He never missed one event, no matter where he was. He was an incredible family man. He loved the Yankees to pieces, with maybe too much. because of, what he went through. And he doesn't believe in losing. He did not believe in losing. There were two things with George. It was breathing and Yankees winning championships. And then, and of course, family, of course. But breathing and Yankees was his game, his end game. That's it. And that's,
sorry to cut you off. Sorry to cut you off. How old were you when you were interviewing the Yankees?
20.
Wow.
I was 20 years old. I was just going to be, I just turned 20. Yep. It was 1980. It was like 82, 84, something like that. Whatever it was. Yeah. Well, it was the early, the Yankees were in transition. Don Mattingly had just started basically. So yeah, it was like 84, something like that. And that's how that all started. Now, little by little, by being around them more, I covered like 23 games. And I started seeing, hey, these guys are normal. These guys are not just starstrucking me. They're regular people. And I'm in the locker room. I walk around and I take it all in. And it started changing me a little bit at a time. It took a while, but I started to understand that, these guys get married. These guys have a life. These guys have kids. They go to events. So if they're good enough to go to events, then why am I putting up a fight that I can't go to this wedding or I can't go here because I got to see what they're doing at that particular time, because there was no TV and there was only WMCA radio or wherever they were at the time. So I learned a valuable lesson, and it took at a major disagreement with my brother. We didn't talk for a while. I wouldn't say a long time, but it was enough to get me sick. And if it wasn't for my sister-in-law, who we had a long talk, and we said, Joe, she always called me Joseph. She always said this, you got to understand, we love you. And you are letting a baseball bat and a ball control your life. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. You've got a wonderful family here. So forget about us, but your mom and dad, I mean, what they are to you. I mean, you've got to realize, you've got to see this. There's more to life than the New York Yankees. There is. And I would, at first I was yesing her to death, and then I started realizing, and came to my senses. Did I lose girlfriends? Yes, I did, because I didn't. It had to be.
Who needs them?
Yeah, right. Now,
Yeah.
But it was a big thing. I would, no. What do you mean I'm going to a dinner? No way. The Yankees are playing the Red Sox at 2:00 on a Sunday. I got to watch that game. Are you kidding me? And so then again, being around them and doing different types of things calmed me down, and I started realizing how important family was. I'm not saying I didn't love them. Of course I did. No. I do. And, but nobody could understand, especially my dad. He couldn't understand. The passion was just too strong in growing up. And if I could change anything, and if I can help anybody, I can talk to you guys or talk to anybody. Don't let it affect your life. When that game is over, when that TV closes, you close it. Close it. Because you know what? They go out and celebrate. They go out and take their millions of dollars. At that time, it was hundreds and thousands of dollars. And they went to have fun. But what we don't realize is they have a wife. They have kids. They have a mother and father. They have grandparents, just like we do. But I didn't believe that. they were higher than me. It was like, my God, Reggie Jackson is like the God of all gods.
Yep.
Well, it's not true. It's not true. Get it into my thick head. And then little by little, it started changing for the much, for the better. And I was Joe again, because I've been a happy-go-lucky guy my whole life, and this was just working me over to the bone. And now that I look back at it, I say, Jesus, what did I do? And there was one very special person in my life that I ruined, and it was my fault, because I would not give that person the time. I would not give her the time of day, and it was Yankees over relationship, and that's a no. That's an absolute no. But I didn't believe it at the time, so that's where that stands. I'm sorry if I went on and on, but I want people to understand. I want people to understand that it was very, very tough. It was very tough.
It's almost Joe. It's almost obviously you've watched Bronx Tale, right? Have you ever watched Bronx Tale? So I've brought this quote up a couple of times in the past few streams, where Chaz Palminteri, who pulls little C Colangelo, Robert De Niro's the father. That's his son. Pulls him aside, and he's like, "Oh, why are you so upset for?" Because the Yankees lost. And he's like, "So what? Do you think Mickey Mantle cares about you? He gets his money. He gets millions upon millions. At the end of the day, he doesn't care. He goes home. He goes to sleep." And then exactly what you just said right now, paraphrasing, is pretty much what he said. The narration for that part, a little C.
Because I didn't believe it.
It's crazy.
I didn't believe it. What do you mean? They they go home and they worry, and So, Joe, they have a wife, they have a life, whatever, and so that, that's how that all started. And do I regret the time? I regret what I put myself through. I lost out on situations. And thank God I have a wonderful, beautiful family who I love dearly. And then it was funny, because it was like it had to get back at me in a way, because then as I got older and my job was overnight, now I'm missing family outlets of affairs, because I'm working 11 to 7 at night. So now it's tough to do, so I had it very tough, and it took a long time for friends and family to understand why I can't take off. There was always a reason. Well, I just started with the company. I can't do that. Or I oh, Joe, you don't make time. I had my own nieces and my great nephews, saying, "Does Uncle Joe love us?" Now you hear something like that. It's heartbreaking. It made me feel like, what am I doing? But my father was always behind me. My mom was always behind me. And you know what? You have to experience it to know what's going on. So I had the worst of both things. I had the thing with the Yankees, and then it so happened that my pick was to work, and I had to work overnight, 11 to 7 for over 23 years. And it wasn't easy. And on top of that, working over at Madison Square Garden and working from 9 o'clock open. I actually opened up Madison Square Garden. I opened the doors. I opened the locker rooms. I opened up everything. I opened up the main arena because I was directing tours. So I'm the first one in. I'm like the first one out.
So then this is where I actually wanted to segue. You read my mind. You probably have that tingle.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So I definitely want to circle back. I want to get to a few other topics, especially NY Mania, Yankee Mania. But first, let's talk about MSG. Your role there, who you met, what your experience was, and just how your outlook with. Obviously, you were just in front of thousands of people per day. So But like, yeah, let's see who did you meet, and of course your interactions and everything all about that job.
Well, I started at Madison Square Garden a year, literally 3 days before the Rangers won the Cup
Wow. Okay.
in 1994.
Wow.
And my first experience, and my supervisors told me, "You survived this, and I promise you everything else will be a piece of cake." And that was the concert of the Nine Inch Nails,
Woo!
which was the worst thing I've ever experienced in my whole life.
Hey, Johnny Salami's in the chat. Don't say that. That's his band, man.
There were guys sneaking in snakes. There were guys sneaking in.
Wild.
I can't tell you. You couldn't even ask anybody where they're sitting. If you talk to the girl, the guy would look at you and say, "What the hell are you looking at?"
Yeah, man.
Turn the other way. I said, "I'm just asking her for the ticket. I'm asking to make sure because these people belong there." And then I said, "I can't take it." I took my ticket and I threw it on the floor. And my supervisor said, "Joe, pick it up and get back to your spot." And that's what funny. I did. And then the next day they called me and they said, "Well, you survived. There's a lot of people ahead of me because I was new kid on the block. But they promised me and they said, 'Joe, come in. We'll place you somewhere. Don't worry.'" And that's how that started. So from being actually an usher, ticket taker, actually more of a public servant, so you want to call it something like relation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then from there, they interviewed me to be what we call Fans First, and the program actually is still going on in Madison Square Garden. We actually started it, and that was to take a look at all the workers from unions, non-unions, players, everything, how everybody is presenting themselves, and we had to log everything. And then I would go up to somebody and, I'd watch the interaction and I'd take notes. And then at the end of the year, we would have a paper and we would give the slip, say, "Hey, nice job, Nick. Nice job, Joe." And then at the end of the year, we calculate, and the person that had, there were 3 tiers. The third tier got $500 merchandise at the Garden. Another one got a big TV, and the other one got everything to do from in like a big suite. They can invite every family member up to like 28 people, and food just keeps coming and everything. And they also would get a trip in the United States. So everybody, that was the incentive to. All you have to do to people that come in and say, "Welcome to Madison Square Garden." Is that tough? Yes, it was for people. For some reason, they weren't doing it. And we came up with an idea. Let's give them incentive. It's the only way we're going to get the Fans First experience. Then we talked about having classes that everybody that came in to work for Madison Square Garden had to take the Fans First class. It was like about, I don't know, 3 days or something, and then you get the certificate, and we now know you're a proud worker of MSG, and that's how that got started. And then I did actually security supervision for different concerts and all of that, and of course I was doing the tours. So the tours gave me great joy because I always made somebody's dream come true. So if somebody would, I would hear somebody in the crowd, oh my God, I would do anything to, go on that stage. Celine Dion's going to be on there tonight. So I quietly, I said, now you have a partner, just to walk around in case somebody's not feeling well. There's always somebody around.
Yeah.
He said, "Do me a favor to do that." So what I did was I called upstairs to to the main offices, and I says, "Can you put on the speakers?" Says, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Because I want to make somebody very happy." Okay, no problem. So and so then I came back, and I said, so am I hearing it right that somebody's dream is to get on stage where Celine Dion's go, and yeah, she did it. She said it. I says, "Come over here." And she came over to me, and I said, "So what's your dream?" She goes, "My dream, I love Celine Dion, and it would be an honor just to be on that stage." So I said, "Oh, is that all?" I said, "Okay." So we were like in the first level, like like if you're watching a Ranger game or a hockey game, like right by. So we were like by there, and I says, "Come with me." I says, "Yeah, it's open. Go up the stage." She goes, "Are you kidding me?" "No, go on stage." And so she's thinking that it's just like, she's going to go on there and then I said, "Okay, sing." And she goes, "What do you mean sing?" I said, "Sing." And she sang a Celine Dion song.
Titanic?
What?
The Titanic song?
No, it wasn't Titanic. What was it? You know what? It was
You're My Angel?
No. What was it? Oh my God, I can't. And it was
the song. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I forgot the name of it, but if it comes to me, I'll let you know. But anyway, she all of a sudden she's singing, and it's all over Madison Square Garden, and I can't tell you
Wow.
the joy that the smile that went on this girl's face. It was amazing. And she said she gave me a hug. She said, "I will never in my life forget this, Joe. This was the greatest that I've ever seen in my life." And "You're My Lady, You're My Man," that song.
Okay.
Okay. I forgot
Yeah.
But anyway, so and that's what happened on that end. And I did a lot of different things. Like we had a group of 500 people from California come in, and they were like third graders, second graders, and I would do Mickey Mouse. I would do the whole tour as Mickey Mouse.
Is that why you do that voice on stream sometimes? Oh, okay. Now I know. I thought you were just going crazy. Yeah.
No,
all right.
no, I would go, "Hey, everybody!" I would be doing that, and they loved it. And I was doing everything. We had, believe it or not, I think you'll like this, Nick. We had bachelorette parties. I'd be doing, so I would have like 100 women. And that was pretty good. I got to say, that was always a lot of fun.
Some fetish.
And I did bachelor parties. And then that was wild. And sometimes big stars would all of a sudden just pass right by. And they said, "You mind saying something?" "Oh, sure, no problem." So I had like Patrick Ewing had come in, and he was doing, and I said, "Patrick, would you say hello?" "Yeah, no problem." And he would say hello. Sam Rosen came around a few times. John Davidson.
Nice.
But the biggest thrill was we had two times it was Ellen, because we were doing the tours when they were having the awards. There was a big award ceremony, and Ellen DeGeneres was there, and also who was the other one that was big? Oh God. I don't. It was somebody else. There's like so much to remember, but that was amazing. So I also worked. I worked the music awards, and so I got to meet everybody. I met Andrea Bocelli. I met Barbara Streisand. Just about everybody in the world. My greatest thrill was being at Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis, and Liza Minnelli. One of their last concerts together. That was amazing. I was at the very first Andrea Bocelli concert.
That's great.
That the workers thought he was a woman. So they would go, "Well, what time is she finished?" I said,
Oh, nowadays.
No, it's not a she. Oh, it's a girl. It's a man. Yeah, Andrea Bocelli. Remember that name? He is famous, especially in Italy. And so and that's how it all began. I mean, those were the times. And it was hard because I would be there. I would leave home 8 o'clock in the morning and sometimes not get home till 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was a lot. And then I had to be there at, again, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So it was very, very hard. I mean, it was a lot, but my dedication was there. That's my bread and butter. I was getting my pen. I was getting, I was covered physically and all of that. So I had to give my all. I couldn't slack off.
Gotcha.
So, that was that.
No, that's awesome. That's amazing. Sean Browning had a question, a couple of ones actually. One of them was the Mercer meeting and Mike and the Mad Dog. Was that part of MSG?
That was that was at the both at Yankee Stadium. Both of the Xbox. And I have actually a funny story leading up to that years ago. So I went in the Yankee office's elevator, and Lou Piniella came in, and he was just staring at me, and I'm like, do I look like a monster or something? I'm saying to myself, and he's like just staring at me, and I just had to say, I said, what, is everything okay? He says, do you know who you look like, right? I said, no. I said, I'm Joe, I guess. He goes, you look like a very young, I don't know where he got it from, but he says, you look like Thurman Munson. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, you remind me a lot of Thurman. He said, and he says, take that as a compliment. And he says, wow, thank you. And I never forgot that. I was like, I think he needs 5 more glasses, but that's besides the point. But where he got it from, I have no idea. Something maybe I was wearing or my hair. I don't know. I have no idea. But I had a mustache too, and Thurman had a mustache at that time.
Why'd you get rid of it for?
I just.
What do you mean, no.
The beard could grow in like 2 days, but the mustache grows in like ridiculous. So I just ditching it, forget it.
Yeah.
And so I went up. And that day for the first time, and it was funny because Mike Francesa was just trying to get big. And this is no joke, everyone. This is something I've always said. Do you know how many times he introduced himself? Hey, I'm Mike Francesa. Oh, hey, nice meeting you, Mike. 5 minutes later, hey, I'm Mike Francesa. A few minutes later, oh, I'm Mike Fran. I'm ready to say, I know already. I know who you are. And I remember, I think it was Pat, or it was one of them with John Martin. They said, yeah, he's a little, he's out there because he's on that WFAN station. I said, oh, okay. And then Susan Waldman, I met Susan Waldman, and she was nice, but you could see that she was trying to get in with the crowd, get in real, because she had just started with the Yankees. She was with the Red Sox. So and everybody would whisper, she's a Red Sox fan. You know that. She's only doing this because it's the job. I said, okay, so to each his own. What are you going to do? I mean, she works for the Yankees. I mean, period. So and then the greatest thrill was when I turned around and Bobby Mercer was there. Well, I melted. I was like, I was starstruck because that and Bruno Sammartino. I've been blessed because I was able to do a show with Bruno, and I was with Bobby Mercer, and that was the greatest thrill. The next time I went, and he knew me, I brought him a ton of Italian bread from the bakery. I brought him cookies, and he mentioned it on the air. He says, my
Bakery?
God, he says, we're going to have a field day from Jerry's Bakery in Brooklyn, New York.
That's awesome.
I want to thank them. And I did the same thing for Phil Rizzuto. And I did the same thing for, it was the organist, Bob Shepard.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay.
Shepard was nice enough. One day he was there. He was it was really early, and I was in the press box for some reason. I don't know why I went early, but he was there, and I went in, and he's practicing, and I said, "Hey, Mr. Shepard." He says, "No, it's Bob." I said, "Hi, Bob.
Here we go again with the first
Can
name.
you do me a favor?"
Yeah.
I said, "Can you do me a favor?" And he goes, "What?" I said, "Do you think you could give me a couple of the dun 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 dun?" He said, "Sure." And I says, in a couple of, he says, "Whatever you want." He says, you got, where's your recorder? I says, "Right here." Okay. Those old time recorders, not like that now they do with the cell phones. These were the recorders with the microphone. And he did it. And then I asked him, I said, "Would you say, now my show on radio was, you're listening to Yankee Mania."
Ooh.
So that was way back when, but it was Yankee Mania on radio years ago, and that's what stuck in my mind.
Interesting.
And that so and he did that. And he says, "Hi, this is Bob Shepard, and you're listening to Joe on Yankee Mania." So
whoa,
I have all of those.
Do you still have it?
I have it. I haven't taken it out in a long time. When we moved, things are in they're cassettes, and I gotta go into that because it's been a long time, and I gotta, I have great interviews of people saying, "Oh, this is Bobby Meacham. You're listening to Yankee Mania." Who else? Willie Randolph. So I have that, and to treasure. And on top of that, and I think I had mentioned this a long time ago on the show, I worked with a guru right here in New York City, Art Rush Jr.
Okay.
And Art Rush Jr. was a big celebrity on the air. I would say as big or maybe a little bigger than Mike and the Mad Dog at that point. He liked me a lot, and he gave me his final interviews with Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio. So I have that as a treasure. And he says, "If anybody's to have it, you should have this." And he handed it to me, and I felt like, I said, "Oh, are you sure?" He says, "Yes." And then I was like, wow. And then Art Rush Jr. came to do some shows with us at live events. We had Lawrence Taylor. We had Willie Randolph. We had a few of the Jet Stars, a couple of another Giant. We had a Ranger play. I mean, it was great. And it was a signing, one of these card signings. Yeah. So we put together, and we did the radio show live in Brooklyn at a big gymnasium, and it was really, really cool. And actually, I'm gonna show. So I'll eventually get to show some pictures of Willie Randolph, who was just traded to the Dodgers, and so he was actually because the Yankees had gotten Steve Sachs, and Willie Randolph, so they traded.
Yeah,
and. So that would, that went on. So that was pretty cool.
Okay, if you're going to show those, which is great, how about getting those cassette tapes back? I think that's like.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna take a big dive and find, because I have so many tapes, Nick. I mean, and stupid bozo me, I did not at that time. I just didn't think about it. I didn't write on them, so I got to listen to each and every one, and it's a long. I got a lot of tapes, but I'll get to it once I do. I'm gonna have you guys over, and we'll reminisce, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is awesome. And look, Joe, I definitely want to get to two more. I know we're off on a specific time, but I definitely want to get to two more segues. I definitely want to get to NY Yankee Mania, the birth of that. But first, I want to pivot towards wrestling now. Can you start with that, like your wrestling journey, your wrestling stories?
Well, that was all that was basically my grandmother. My grandmother loved it, and I loved my grandmother to bits. And I did everything I could to make sure that she knew what times they were on. She didn't care. She didn't want to go to sleep. She wanted to watch it. We had channels called Channel 47, 41 here in New York. Yeah, WNY, WNGU, TV, whatever. And that was it. And I started going to local wrestling matches. We used to take her, my brother and myself, and we used to see, all the wrestlers. And then little by little, then she passed away in 1985 at 92 years old. And I just made sure that she watched everything and saw everything. And she just made it to see Hulk Hogan and Lou Albano turning a good guy and all of that. So she was because she hated Lou Albano. Oh my God. She actually picked up a 25-inch TV. My grandfather yelling, "You're crazy, Maria, you're crazy." And we come running down. "What's the matter?" She goes, "I'm going to kill the referee. And then this Lou Albano, what he's doing." And and then that was the story that she did that at the wrestling match. And Bruno said she grabbed the referee and would not let go. Now my grandmother was like 4'11", and she grabs the referee and she's talking Italian, and the referee's trying to say, "Let me go, let me go." We couldn't control her. Bruno had to come out of the locker room, talk to her in Italian, and say, "Don't worry," in Italian, "Signora, no worry, I'll take care of it." Yeah, but the guy he had the stick there. No, I'm not letting. You got to let him go. That's his job. He's got a family. And they're talking, and finally, when I met Bruno, I would say 14 years later, and I told, and I says, "Do you remember an incident?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "Wow, that lady was a handful." I said, "Bruno, that was my grandmother." And he was like, "What?" He says, "Oh man, good thing I didn't say anything bad with all of my headbutts. I don't know what I'm saying." But and he and that's and that's really it. And I started going to all the wrestling matches. I had a friend of mine who owned First Row. They still gave out season tickets to it. Okay. And my friend actually became a supervisor in the Garden, and he called me up. He said, "Joe, I got to give up my First Row tickets." And this is the first month that Hogan won the title. So needless to say, I went to every title defense, the first WrestleMania, the second WrestleMania, the third one we went to Detroit, Michigan. The 10th WrestleMania we went to, and then I gave up the tickets when I started working there, and that was it. Now they don't give out now it's just potluck, whatever you get. And my seats at the time was like $35. Now they're $700, sometimes $1,000.
That's cool.
Oh, I'm in. If you see, there's a big picture of Hulk Hogan in SummerSlam with Macho Man Savage, and I'm right in the middle. It's in the big wall in the Hall of Fame, the Walk of Fame at Madison Square Garden. And I actually had a person calling me and said, "Joe, you're on the wall of the Garden." I said, "What are you talking about?" And he sent me a picture, and I was like, "Oh my God!" So it's a picture like Hulk Hogan is standing, and right between like his legs, you see, I have the white shirt. I'm with my ex-girlfriend, and I have the mustache, and it's hysterical. I actually called her up on that, and she goes, "You got to be kidding!" I said, "Nope, nope." And I sent her the picture, and she says, "Oh my God, that was amazing." Wow. This is years and years later, and that's how that occurred.
Do they still have
Then,
it?
right. Then the doorman concierge came about.
Yeah.
And I love doing that. And
Awesome.
and I started meeting sports people in there too. Jim Palmer came in. He was actually seeing somebody in there. Let's see. I saw Bernie Williams once. I had just when I first started, Cecil Fielder and Charlie Hayes. Cecil Fielder, I believe, stood there for about a year, and then Charlie Hayes used to come in as a guest and all of that, and I met Sugar Ray Leonard.
Awesome.
And all of that. So the sports it's like it follows me around. And then the last year, which was 2024, when I finally said that's enough, working 11 to 7 overnight, I says, when I stop, I'm going to take a couple of months off, and then I got to see what this podcast frenzy is all about. And then I said, you know what? I went to my brother because my parents were already gone. And I said, I'm going to do this. And they said, okay, you sure? Because that could. I said, but John, I told my brother and my sister-in-law, I said, but this is my passion. I said, okay, then we're behind you, do it. And that's how it all began. And I started it. I asked a couple of people, what do I do? They says, just make believe you're on the radio and go for it. Just talk. And I said, yeah, but how about if nobody listens? So nobody listens. Eventually, you're going to tell somebody that's going to tell somebody, and they're going to say, oh, they're talking Yankee baseball. And so I started with like a pregame before the Yankees went on the air, the day that the opening day of last year. And then I started doing a couple of the shows. And then May 4th, ironically, my birthday, I presented Coffee, Bagels, and Yankee Talk.
Awesome.
And that's how the birth of Coffee Bagels started.
May 4th.
Right. And my dream was to do my passion and also share the wealth of knowledge to our staff and to the staff, to the chat. And that's how that's how I started Yankee Mania, and why I wanted to start Yankee Mania. Then I started meeting people, like Nitin. There were a couple of people that started with me. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way that we liked to, and I always wish them well. And when certainly we went our ways, but then Nitin came in, and Nitin was an incredible friend. From the first day on the phone, he says, you know what, I'm going to help you guys. I said, well, I appreciate that. And I was like, well, he doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. I don't know. And I had just met and started to be friendly with Ken from the Yankees, The Ugly Truth. And we started talking, and he believed in me. He liked what I had. He liked my passion. He said, you're going to have your ups and downs, but I'm going to be here. I will be here for you. I promise you, and I will not leave you. And thank God to this day, now, his family is an incredible family. I love them to death. I love his grandkids. I love everything about Ken. And he was the guy that rah-rahed me to stay and to do what I love best. And then Nitin, my first guest was Jabba Chamberlain on June 28th at I believe it was 4:00 in the afternoon. It was something like that. We still have the interview, of course. And that's when I said, wow, he's really going to help me. And then we went, little by little with somebody else, and we had like 50 subscribers, and we were just talking, and then I met people like Sean Browning,
You forgot his name already?
Yeah, I forgot his name. There's a lot of knowledge here. I mean, come on. And,
Sorry, Sean, in the
Brownie
chat.
came aboard, and then I picked out Evan from the crowd. I picked I picked you out of the crowd. I just have a knack for knowing people, and I knew it. I just knew it. And I also listened to other creative shows. I took notes, but I do things my way, the way I feel comfortable with. And everything that I say, Nick, comes from the heart.
Absolutely.
And this morning is an example. I got up 6 o'clock in the morning to let everybody know. I did a short to make sure that everybody is going to would be safe, or in this terrible, crazy tornado that we're expecting this weekend in New York and the East Coast and everywhere. And I just want everybody to, do what they need to do. Stay off the roads, buy your groceries, take care of the family. Make sure if the lights go out, your Edison, your Con Edison people, whoever you have, know that you're worried about senior citizens. So that's what I did, and it comes from the heart, everyone. As I keep saying, I will always make time for you at joeyankees28@gmail.com, and so will everybody else. Everybody we work with is very giving and very loving, and that's what I love about the show, and I want to take it to the biggest heights that I possibly can.
Absolutely. And I can see that too. I can see that every time. I see your passion. Look, and I look just like my monologue before the show when you saw me with the glasses and my bad dad jokes. Yes, Joe. Joe has a good heart. He doesn't have a big heart because that's deadly and that's dangerous, and he should see a doctor. He has a good heart, not a big heart. But yes, I see absolutely the passion that you have, and this is why I'm with you. I love just the dedication, the hard work you're putting in, and this is why I'm here for the long haul, is because I share that same value as you. Like there are times you text me early in the morning, and I could be sleeping, I could be working. I don't know. It just depends. I don't know. Just chefs, they either work all day and night or overnight and all day. I don't know. But anyway, when you do text me and you have ideas for your show, your creative juices are stirring in your head. The gears are turning, and I love that. I love that about you, and that's why I wanted to bring this up too, in regards to how you came up with NY Yankee Mania. And just to hear that with Bob Shepard, NY Mania, the radio show, that's like pretty much the grandfather of this channel, pretty much you could say. It's pretty much, or the great grandfather, just forgetting the years, but I think grandfather. But it goes to show you how it's like you really you take that creative side and then you bring it to the modern age right here, and you want to share that with everyone. And it's just, look, you're sharing all these stuff that I've never even heard of. All I said to Joe in regards to the interview, I'm going to talk about your career. That's it. Let's give it a go. And then that's it. I didn't know anything about this. I didn't even know anything about the Nine Inch Nails concert. I didn't know anything about Bob Shepard, who you met, Lou Piniella, George Steinbrenner. With George Steinbrenner, I think you may have brought up one or two, but even being like a doorman, or just with, being an MSG, like with the tours, I didn't know anything about this. So this is something that's very important. And I think that value is absolutely so, so beautiful. And this is why I understand why this is a family channel. We can be funny. We can have humor. We can be PG. We can be sarcastic past PG like I do. But at the end of the day, the family values are pretty much what's important in the sports world. And I see where you're going with this. I see where you're going with that. It's just that family values is a reflection of yourself on this channel. It's not about, look, hey, you better not say the F curse. Yeah, sure, no one should say the F curse on the channel anyway. But it's just all about the respect of the career, the respect of the sports entertainment, the respect behind the scenes. And this is what I'm getting at. If I'm getting too deep here, chat, please just, tell me, hey, Nick, you got to lighten up. Maybe it's just me, pretty much just dissecting this. But I absolutely love this. And I appreciate you absolutely sharing everything and just every category.
And I appreciate you giving me the time to do this one-on-one. But the one thing that just a couple of minutes, and we can stay on to like about another 10 minutes.
Okay, perfect.
We do have the other show coming on.
Yeah.
And we do have to log off and go on to the other channel. But if nothing else, what I want to get out to everybody, and I mean this from my heart, don't take sports so darn serious. Take it for what it is. Just make sure your life is in order. Your family, your kids, your grandkids, your best friend. I don't care who it is. Your job. Don't ever put your job, your sports in front of your job, because you have a job to do. And that is raise a wonderful, beautiful family. And that's what you need to do. And I had to learn the hard way. And if you do that, you will be very proud of yourself. And then you could say, hey, that guy Joe on that Mania show was right. And if you can do that, you can get in that position. And you could sit back and enjoy your grandkids, your wife, your husband, whatever it is. Don't let anybody tell you that sports comes first. It's great. It's God forbid you have and I'll tell you just a quick story here.
Yeah.
How I healed from my mom and my dad, because and my grandparents, that was the most devastating thing that's ever happened to me. But you know what really did it? One sport, and that's baseball and the New York Yankees. When you put on that TV and you could look at that TV and know that mom and dad was watching, especially my mom, she loved the Yankees. And it was a cooling passion, and it calms you down. That's when you use sports in your life. But please listen to what I'm saying. Don't let it run your life. And if it is, it's not like you're going to AA or anything like that. You can stop it. It's real simple. And you know how you do it? You close the TV. You don't listen. You don't listen to us, but you close the TV. You don't have to see everything that's going on. So you miss a game.
Yeah.
There's replays. You'll never miss anything. Come here. We'll give you. We'll do the live visual. And I'm not selling my show. I'm just giving an example how not important it is. I love sports. I love the Yankees. They're in my blood. But I refuse to miss out on life anymore. And whatever's going to be another 20, 30 years, whatever it is for me, I want to enjoy it. And you know what? Enjoying it, even if I just stay with my family or whatever and have a good time, I don't need to travel thousands and thousands of miles all the time. What I need is happiness. And that is what I just want you to get out of this interview. And just know how important life is. And just quickly, my last statement before Nick says whatever he'd like to say is with the upcoming stuff that's happening this weekend, please take it seriously. Don't wait until Sunday morning and you're going to go, oh my God, I can't buy eggs. I can't. You're still in time. Go do it. I don't care. It's 9:15 at night. There are ShopRites wherever you are in the world. They're open 24 hours. Go do it. You'll believe me. You'll thank yourself. Get those batteries. Get the flashlights. Charge your phones. Do it because you don't know. There's going to be heavy winds. You don't know if things are going to fall down on your cable, on anything. Be prepared. Be smart and be prepared, everyone. Thank you for the time. I love you to death. And if you learn one thing, just know that we love you very, very much. Each and every one of you. Each and every one of you. And that comes from the heart. Nick, all I could say is thank you very much. I mean, I have a ton more stories, but we want to get to the Yankees.
We're gonna have a part 2.
What?
We'll have a part 2.
You will have. Okay, that's fine with me.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a lot of things that I want to share with everyone, and then maybe the next time we'll play some excerpts of things. That'll be my thing to try to find whatever I can, and I appreciate all of you. So thank you, and I will. I'm gonna drop down now. I'm gonna get ready, Nick, and by 9:30 we go to the other link. So talk as much as you like,
and then get off.
Enjoy the night, everyone, and I'll see you in about 15 minutes. Have a great night. Thank you, Nick, for everything. For this unbelievable time. Thank you so much. Love you guys. We'll see you in 15 minutes in the new link. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everyone, for listening and staying a part of NY Yankee Mania. I promise we will not let you down. Never let you down. Take care.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was absolutely amazing. A lot of things that I didn't know. And just found out tonight, and I want to have a part 2. And so I think what you guys should do is blow up Joe's email and tell him we want a part 2, Joe. We want a part 2 because I want to hear more about this. I want to hear about these tapes. I want to hear everything about his. He has more to explain. Fortunately, we're doing a baseball stream, so I'm going to have to log off in about a few minutes. But this is something that I wanted to bring up to light, that you don't know a person until you hear him out. And this was absolutely amazing. For me, dissecting and picking apart things about his career and his life, how it translates to the modern world now with this stream. And I can see why his passion, his value, and his family values, but pretty much the values in this exist, and it always will exist no matter what. And I see why it means a lot to him. So look, I'm going to say this one more time. I think I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to upgrade myself. So I went from liking, smashing, punching, stomping, kicking the like button on domestic violence charges in a good way. Now I'm going to say, be a Jeffrey Dahmer, be a serial killer. Let's kill this like button. Let's be a Jeffrey Dahmer. Let's eat. Let's devour the flesh of this like button. I don't care if I'm being creepy. I love this. I love being weird. I love being awkward. This is great. But yes, I think we should do that. But a lot of people, myself, I'm always on other places too, whether it's like cooking stuff, and they always say, look, guys, like and subscribe and stuff like that. I can easily do this. And so can you. So let's do this. So I want to thank, before I log off, I just want to, I definitely want to thank everyone on the in the panel, panel. It was me and Joe in the community. You guys are my rock stars, baby. You guys are my chefs. I love you guys. I love your support. Just pretty much a quick, before I log off, a quick story. Yes, I was the pick of the litter pretty much in August, where Joe just decided to, hey, Nick, do you want to come on? And I was on there. I came on. I was a subscriber for about 2 months on NY Yankee Mania. I was a big fan of it. I just love the natural, fluent conversations back and forth. I always saw Evan and Joe just going back and forth. It was just so natural. It's just almost like you're having a conversation with them in front of you. There's no fireworks. There's no ignoring, nothing like that. So then, yeah, so then I was on. Joe picked my comment. He's like, "Hey, would you want to come on?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not? Let me just come on." I thought it'd be like a regular webinar, just like a stay-at-home meeting, a remote meeting, and stuff like that. But it wasn't. I was on with a great group of people, and I don't know. I just spoke from the heart, and that's the thing too. It's like, for me, it's like dealing with thousands upon people every day. I have a social limit. I have a social limit to the sky. And there is no limit to the sky with that, because once you reach that, you will just want to be left alone. But coming back from a crazy world out there and coming here to NY Yankee Mania, it was more decompressing, more relaxing, in a sense where I just was myself. I just spoke from the heart, just being sarcastic, just being just these normal conversations that were going on. Nothing with, oh wait, like he's going to talk first, or he's going to talk first, or your opinion doesn't matter. It's all about my way or the highway. For me, it doesn't work that way. This is why I will always, for me, guys, I will always have your back. And I've said this before, and you guys know this too. I said this live in the chat. I will always have your back, because I'm a big what's it called? Support of pretty much anything that you guys say. Obviously, if you get personal, that's a different story. But if you're saying something about, opinions and facts and stuff like that, again, it's always going to be a double-edged sword. It's always going to be a double-edged sword. No one's going to like it. People are going to love it. And then sometimes people meet in the middle. Sometimes they don't. So it's always going to, there's a lot of factors with that. So I just want to say, going forward, I will always have your back. I will always be here for you. If you have any questions, concerns, you can always shout me out. I'm trying to read them as fast as I can, but we are getting a lot of people in the chat. So yeah, if you have any questions or concerns, you could always shout me out. I'll get your comments and questions ready. But also too, if there's any issues, let me know. If people are in the wrong, I'll definitely call them out. Not personally attack them, but I'll say, you're wrong. This didn't happen. It's happened a couple of times, low key. But yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to be on a stream in about 8 minutes. So I just wanted to say, guys, I'll see you soon. Long time no see. When I say that next time in 8 minutes, so just expect that. But again, love you all. I just really appreciate everyone here. So take care, brush your hair, love, peace, and hair grease. And be well, guys. See you soon. Take care.
Hey, everybody, it's Ian Eagle. You are watching NY Yankee Mania, the best.
Love it.
Hey, everybody, this is Noah Eagle from NBC Sports, and you're all smart. You're top-tier sports fans because you're watching NY Yankee Media, the best to get the rest.
Hi, this is Ken from Yankees The Ugly Truth. You're on live with Joe at NY Yankee Mania. Enjoy the adventure.
Hi, my name is Maria Venuto, and you are watching New York Yankee Mania.